It's the morning of January 19, 1991. High above Iraq, two F-15C Eagles slice through the sky on an escort mission for Operation Desert Storm. Captain Cesar, Rico, Rodriguez and his wingman, Captain Craig Mole, Underhill, are clearing the air ahead of 36 strike aircraft bound for targets near Baghdad. Behind them, waves of F-16s dive in formation, releasing 2,000-pound bombs on Iraqi ammunition depots. The desert erupts in massive explosions as pillars of smoke rise into the pale sky. Anti-aircraft fire is expected, so the F-16s pull up sharply, flares and chaff glittering behind them. But instead of SAMs, the Iraqis unleash something far more dangerous. 4 MiG-29 Fulcrums, their most advanced fighters. Outnumbered and cautious, the Iraqi pilots have been waiting for a chance to strike. Now radar controllers feed them the position of two isolated F-15s. It's their moment. Two Fulcrums accelerate to intercept. Inside the lead Eagle, Rico's calm voice cuts through the radio static as his Airbus controller, Mark White, reports Rico 2 hostiles bearing 040 for 35 second at 340 for 65. Roger, Rico replies. Well, take 040. The F-15s bank toward the threat, radar scopes lighting up with a new contact. Then another tone sounds a warning. A 29 flashes on Rico's radar warning receiver. I'm being painted. MiG-29, I see it, replies Mole. The two pairs of fighters close at supersonic speed. Eagles versus Fulcrums in a head-on just. Rico selects an AIM-7 Sparrow. But the Iraqis dive low, trying to hide within ground clutter. It fails. Rico's radar splits one fuzzy blip into two clear targets. Got them. 2 versus 2. He locks onto one. In the Fulcrum, the Iraqi pilots Arduar screams, he's being tracked. Then suddenly silence. They've broken the lock by slipping perpendicular to the F-15's radar. Lost it, Rico mutters. The MiGs vanish, then reappear 12 miles away. Then vanish again. Each time they cross the radar blind spot, the Eagles lose the lock. Rico knows the trick. The Fulcrums are playing with them, dragging them across the sky. From AWCS, Mark White monitors the engagement as the F-15s chase their elusive enemies. The pursuit carries Rico and Mole out of White's control zone, so protocol forces him to hand them off to another controller. Ahead, the Eagles' radar warning receivers erupt with signals. An entire field of surface to air missiles guarding Baghdad. They're dragging us into the city's anti-air. Mole warns. What do we do? Rico listens to the strike formation's radio chatter. F-16 still bombing their targets. If the F-15s turn back now, those MiGs could tear into the strikers. Rico makes a risky call. Hold position. Keep the bandits busy until the strikes are complete. They press forward, flying straight into a wall of radar locks. But the Iraqi plan runs deeper. The SAMs are just bait. A third MiG-29 sweeps in from the left, radar off, invisible to the Eagle's sensors. Though the fight is technically out of his sector, Mark White keeps watching. His screen shows the new MiG speeding toward Rico and Mole. But the F-15s remain unaware, flying level. The range closes, 18 miles, 16, still no reaction. White hesitates to interrupt. Pilots in combat can't afford distractions. 15 miles, 14. He decides he can't wait. Pop-up contact. 330 degrees, 13 miles. The warning comes just in time. Rico jettisons his fuel tanks and yanks his Eagle into a tight left turn, vapor streaming off his wings. The moment his nose points toward the threat, a new radar echo pops up. Bogey 8 miles. The unseen Fulcrum pilot, still flying blind, receives word that the Americans are dead ahead. He switches on his radar, and instantly the ominous 29 blares in Rico's cockpit. Both pilots now see each other on their screens, closing fast at supersonic speed. Rico locks the target but holds fire. Rules of engagement demand visual confirmation for anything within 10 miles, just in case it's a stealth F-117. Mole begins running friend or foe identification. Then Rico's RWR screams. He's been locked. I'm getting spiked. He rolls inverted and dives, spewing chaff. Getting low terrain should confuse it. But the tone doesn't stop. He drops from 30,000 feet at near Mach 1, trying to break the lock. Above him, Mole confirms target identity through a AACS support. Clearance comes through. Engage, Fox 1. A white streak erupts beneath the F-15. An AIM-7 Sparrow. The missile darts across the sky. Rico glimpses the MiG's nose pointed right at him. But before it can fire, the Sparrow slams into its fuselage. The MiG explodes mid-air, scattering debris across the desert. Splash 1. Rico pulls out of his dive barely 500 feet above the ground. Relief washes through him, but a AACS interrupts again. Second group north 10 miles. Rico hesitates. The F-16 strike group is already headed home. They could withdraw, but the new contacts are too close for comfort. They turn north to intercept. At just beyond 10 miles, Rico identifies the new contact. Hostile. He locks on, but suddenly, Mole's system classifies it as a friendly. He lights up as a diamond on my scope. Rico frowns. Say again. It reads friendly. Mole repeats, uncertainty creeping in. Rico's instincts tell him otherwise. They decide on a visual check. He races toward the unknown Baghdad head-on, staying low until it's nearly overhead. Then, in a split-second climb, the two jets pass within 50 feet. In that flash, Rico spots green camouflage and the Iraqi flag. It's a MiG-29. He banks left sharply, looping above the fulcrum. The enemy holds altitude, turning flat and opening. The radar battle ends. Now it's down to a dogfight. The skies above Iraq erupt into a twisting duel of jets and vapor trails. Rico and the MiG-29 are now locked in a deadly dance. Two fourth-generation fighters circling, climbing, and diving through thin air at near supersonic speeds. Rico flips his F-15 upside down and pulls hard on the stick, cutting tight into the MiG's turn. 10 jars of crushing force slam him into his seat as he fights to stay conscious. The horizon spins. He sees the fulcrum flash past his canopy, and he banks sharply to follow. The MiG dives, trading altitude for speed, trying to shake him. Rico stays glued to the enemy's tail, spiraling downward toward the desert. The two jets converge again, a blur of gray and sand. I've got him, Rico mutters, voice steady despite the strain. From higher above, Mole watches the fight unfold. I can come in, he calls. Stand by. Rico orders. This one's his. They roar past each other again, the gap between them shrinking with every second. But altitude is running out. At barely a few thousand feet, Rico hauls the stick back, muscles burning, vision dimming from the G-force. The F-15 groans under the stress as the fulcrum finally slides into his sights. Rico arms an AIM-9 Sidewinder. The missile tone buzzes, tracking heat from the MiG's engines. He leads the target slightly, finger hovering over the trigger. But the Iraqi pilot makes a desperate move. He rolls inverted and dives straight toward the ground, pulling every ounce of speed from his engines. Rico holds back, unwilling to follow. He banks hard to the left, climbing slightly, eyes locked on the enemy below. The fulcrum plummets. Sand fills its cockpit view. The Iraqi pilot slams the throttle to afterburner and yanks the stick back with everything he has. The G-forces crush him into the seat. The MiG's wings tremble on the edge of tearing apart. He's seconds from recovery, but not enough. The MiG-29 slams into the desert, exploding into a rolling cloud of fire and debris. Silence fills Rico's headset for a moment. Then his pulse begins to slow. He exhales deeply. That's it, he says quietly. Mole forms up on his right wing just 2 miles away. Tactical right side. Roger, Rico answers, still catching his breath. Let's go home. The two F-15s climb back into the sky, leaving behind the wreckage and heat haze. The mission had begun as simple escort duty. It ended with 2 enemy kills, one of them snatched from the edge of disaster. As they return to base, AS confirms both enemy fulcrums are down. The strike package of F-16s reports successful bombing runs with 0 losses. Thanks in part to the 2 Eagles that refused to turn away. For Captain Cesar, Rico, Rodriguez, it's another mark on a growing list. He would eventually score 3 aerial victories, making him one of the top American MiG killers since Vietnam. Calm, methodical, and fearless under pressure, Rico's combat record became the stuff of Air Force legend. That day, however, the victory wasn't just about skill. It was about nerve. Rico had faced 3 advanced enemy fighters, one nearly invisible to radar, and flown headfirst into Baghdad's wall of anti-air defenses, all to protect the strike group below. Hours later, in the debriefing room, he replayed the encounter, the warning tones, the sudden lock alerts, the desperate dive through radar, guided missiles, the flash of the MiG exploding midair, and finally the low-altitude chase that ended in the desert. Every second had tested instinct, precision, and control. His wingman, Captain Mo Underhill, later described the fight as pure chaos balanced on the edge of discipline. "It was close today," he said. Rico smiled slightly. "2 same-generation fighters," he replied. "Not like when our F-16s ate hawks for breakfast." It was a rare kind of respect, a warrior's acknowledgement of a worthy opponent. Both men knew how easily it could have gone the other way. In the broader scope of Desert Storm, that single duel symbolized the technological and tactical gap between the coalition and the Iraqi Air Force. The MiG-29 Fulcrum was a formidable machine, fast, agile, deadly. But the combination of superior radar systems, disciplined teamwork, and airspace coordination gave the Eagles the edge. Rico's actions also underscored a truth about modern air combat: information wins fights. Without Mark White's timely warning from hundreds of miles away, the invisible MiG might have fired first. Instead, that one radio call turned the tide of battle. Back on the tarmac, as the sun dipped behind the hangars, ground crews surrounded the returning F-15s. Their paint was scorched, their fuselages peppered with grit from low-level flight, but they had survived what should have been a trap. For Rico and Mole, it was another day in the unforgiving skies of Desert Storm. Proof that even in a war of machines, victory still depended on human instinct, courage, and split-second judgment. Epilogue: Captain Cesar Rico Rodriguez went on to become one of America's most accomplished fighter pilots, later serving as an instructor and mentor to new generations of Eagle drivers. His cool precision and unshakable composure under fire became textbook examples of modern air combat leadership. The Iraqi pilots, though outmatched, had fought bravely, attempting to lure superior enemies into a deadly web of radar, missiles, and confusion. But on that January morning, the balance of skill, technology, and fate all tilted toward 2 determined Eagles. From the burning deserts of Iraq to the calm corridors of debriefing rooms, one truth echoed through the ranks: the sky doesn't forgive mistakes, but it rewards courage.